Smile. And now let's all play What's My Line? And now, from New York, let's meet our What's My Line panel. First, the star of Mrs. Dally playing at the Golden Theater here in New York, Miss Arlene Francis.
Thank you. And now, a gentleman with a golden lyric baritone voice appearing nightly at the Persian Room here in New York, Mr. Jack Jones.
Thank you. To my left, a young lady who is the lovely syndicated columnist for the New York Journal-American, who's just returned to work, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And now it's welcome back time with love. Let's hear it for Bennett, Cerf.
Thank you. I've been having a wonderful time traveling around countries in Europe I never saw before, but every Sunday night I missed introducing our Sphinx-like moderator. And here he is now, Silent John Daly.
Well, I must say, Jack Jones, it's nice to have you on the panel tonight, and it is a joy to have Bennett back. I was at a loss for a good while as to how we'd welcome you back, Bennett, but I got some inspiration up at my old alma mater, Tilton School. We met with the trustees this week, and one of them gave me this to give to you tonight. It appears they had a man up in Boston who manufactured frankfurters, and they'd opened up some of them and found that they were half breadcrumbs. So they called him before a hearing, and his defense was that it's very difficult these days to make both ends meet.
Oh. I should have stayed in Madrid, where I was a week ago.
Well, I thought maybe you'd go back to Madrid after that. But it's wonderful to have you home, Bennett, and I must say that I think we have an extraordinarily interesting group of occupations for all of you tonight. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the program. But right now, let's meet our first contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Nora Kiang, is that right? Just for fun, how do you say your name in Chinese?
Jiang Hemei.
Jiang Hemei?
Yes.
Ah, and is it Miss or Mrs.?
Miss.
Miss?
Yes.
Well, it's very nice to have you with us, Miss Kiang. Where are you from?
Hong Kong.
From Hong Kong? Oh, well, that's wonderful. I don't think we've had a guest from Hong Kong for a long, long time. May I present our panel? And now, if you'll join me over here, we will let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we can tell you that Miss Kiang is salaried and deals in a service, and we will begin things with Bennett, Cerf.
Miss Chang, do you perform your service in or around this country?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
If you will forgive me for putting it this way, do your obvious good looks have anything to do with your job?
Sometimes.
I like your honesty, John. Don't turn the card.
Yeah, Miss Kiang is completely right. There are occasions in her work when I would say this has a definite application. Right.
Are you in any area of show business?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Jones.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you work in the daytime?
Sometimes.
Also at night?
Sometimes.
Do you ever write anything in connection with your work?
Do you ever write anything in the connection with it? We would have to...
aside from a letter.
Well, we would have to agree. Let me have just a small conference.
I knew you would.
Yeah, we would have to agree that there is an element of writing that is incidental to her basic service, yes.
Do you have anything to do with communications?
No, not as we would define it here. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Chang, I understand you work for a non-profit making organization. Is that correct? And you do not do your work in this country.
Correct.
Are you connected in any way with government?
Yes.
Is it the government of the city of Hong Kong?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with tourism?
Sometimes.
Miss King is very generous. I will let the answer stand, but here again, I would say that the relationship would be tangential in the extreme. It is not necessary or basic to the service that she delivers.
Do you do your work in Hong Kong?
Yes.
Does the work take you anywhere near the water?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Are you connected in any way with security forces in Hong Kong?
Yes.
Are you connected with the police? Are you a policewoman?
Yes. Actually, I've got it forward. Throw all the cards over because we could have gone a bit farther, but I think that's remarkable because you'd never think that, to look at Miss Kiang, that she's not only a policewoman, she is an inspector of police in Hong Kong, which is the equivalent to a lieutenancy of police here in New York City. She has a great many police under her and does a great many things, traffic directing, inspection, and car patrol, and doesn't carry a gun, but is an expert at judo.
She's
You don't carry a gun, do you?
John,
Never.
I should think Miss Chang is Inspector O.
Maybe he ought to go back to Spain, after all. What do you think? But this is, do you wear a uniform most of the time, or do you work both as...
Most of the time. But we do wear plain clothes sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Well, it's a remarkably beautiful young lady and a remarkably interesting occupation. We thank you very much for coming to visit us on What's My Line, ma'am. And now let's meet our next contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? G.W. Dick. Right, sir? All right, fine. Mr. Dick, where are you from?
I'm from Potomac, Maryland.
Potomac, Maryland. That's near Washington, is it?
That's right.
Nice to have you with us. May I present the panel, Mr. Dick? Now, if you'll join me here, sir, we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we can tell you that Mr. Dick is salaried and deals in a service, and we will begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mr. Dick, do you work for a non-profit making organization?
No, I do not.
That is 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Jones.
Does your service have anything to do with the household? The home?
Yes.
Yes, there's a relationship there. Mm-hmm.
Would one go to you, or, let me say, would you go to one's home to perform your service?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you work indoors?
Yes.
Are you an executive?
Yes.
Have you anything to do with food?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Dick, have you anything at all to do with either furnishings or appliances inside the house?
Yes.
There is again here... There is again here an area in the overall service which would require this kind of a relationship in some instances with the house, yes.
Mr. Dick, to get myself off the hook, has it anything to do with either light, heat, or power?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Is your work in any way investigative? Whatever that means?
Sort of.
Yeah, in a very broad span, we would have to say it has something to do with investigative work.
However, I can rule out that you're any kind of a detective.
Yes.
Are your services usually acquired over the telephone?
Sometimes.
You work out of an office?
Yes.
Are your services used by both men and women?
Yes.
Yeah, we'd have to, and there'd be a broad area of interest among men and women, certainly, yeah.
A broad, investigative men and women area we have here. Appliance, too. Pardon me.
Pretty sneaky.
Is your work involved in paperwork of any kind?
Yes.
Would you be involved in any way with insurance?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Jones.
Do you have anything to do with pests in the home?
It would appear, Jack, that would be almost impossible to answer no, but we have to be truthful and say no. 6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is this appliance something that could be folded?
No. 7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Dick, since you're located so near the nation's capital, do you do business with the government?
No.
None at all?
No.
8 down and 2 to go, Miss Francis.
I think there's been a little misunderstanding. Did we discover that there was an appliance used in Mr. Dick's work?
Well, there was a legitimate assumption on your part that there was some relationship with an appliance in the home. The question was asked on the debate, furnishings or appliance in the home, and we had to admit that there is a relationship, but it is not necessarily basic.
I see. Is it, however, an appliance in the home that is in other places beside the home?
Yes.
In fact, is it almost every place that one goes in the civilized world?
No.
John lives in a different civilization.
Should have stayed home. I would, with Mr. Dick's permission, because I think the question basically pertains to the character of life in the United States, give a qualified yes to that. You go ahead.
Does it have anything whatsoever to do with communications?
Yes.
Would the communications be over a wireless of some sort? Either telephone or television?
Yes.
Do you relate to one of those that I've mentioned, Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Well, I think I'll choose the telephone.
That was very good of you. That's 9 down and 1 to go. Mr.
Maybe
Jones.
that's what's the matter with
No,
the
I'm
stock.
going to flip over because actually the telephone does have something to do with it. Mr. Dick runs a television rating service.
I was just going to ask.
Will you? Mr. Dick is the president of the American Research Bureau, which puts out the Arbitron report.
Yes, I was going to ask, isn't that gadget attached to the television set?
Well, this is why we had to give in finally on telephone and everything, because in New York it is well, why am I telling you? Mr. Dick knows more.
Yes.
Will you explain
how
how
does
things
it work, Mr. Dick? Nobody seems to understand.
So I've been told.
And we don't trust it, but anyway, explain
So
it.
I've been told, but I can reassure you. In New York only, there are electronic devices attached to a very carefully selected sample of families in this broad general area of 16 and a half counties. But nationally, we use telephones.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, as of the end of this show, over 350,000 phone calls will have been made since the new television season began. But then there's a third way, and that's by way of a personal diary, wherein you, if you were keeping a diary, Miss Francis, you would tell us your innermost secrets about television watching and radio listening, if you excuse the expression.
One of the things I would put in, Mr. Dick, is that there's a very attractive man associated with Arbitron.
Thank you very much.
But you mean, besides the electronic gadget and the 350,000 televisions, some of the public keep regular diaries of what they've watched on their television set and what they think of what they've
This is the only real way we can find out that it's a gorgeous blonde, 35, with 3 kids, and she works 30 hours a week. That's how we get the demographic information for those advertising agencies that help support you all.
Well, you depend on that Mr. and Mrs. Public a good deal for you.
Those people, if it weren't for the very careful way in which they keep the diaries and answer us on the telephone, we wouldn't be in business, and you wouldn't know whether anybody was out there watching or not. They do a fabulous job, and I hope that they will respect not only us, but all other reputable research companies in answering truthfully what they're watching.
Mr. Dick, is your relationship to the Nielsen ratings like General Electric against Westinghouse or something like that?
Well, I'm sort of sorry you mentioned that name, but yes, we're both in the business.
Wonderful. Great. Well, I must say, I think we have to give them credit. They did finally dig out what you do. One interesting fact that Mr. Dick has, would you tell me the figures that you gave me on What's My Line back in '54?
Well, we in ARB have been in business as long as this show. In November 1950, this show achieved a rating, which all of you understand very well, of 20.4. And at that time, the beginning days of television, that only represented 4.5 million viewers. The last complete sweep that we made in March of this year, you had a 21 rating, which is roughly the same, except that it represented almost 20 million viewers. And during this 15 years, you've averaged a good 20% of the audience that's out there available for looking.
Good.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I say we hope it keeps up. Thanks very much. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, this message. And now the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery challenger, for which the panel is always blindfolded. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes.
Fine. Will you enter, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? As you know, panel, in this case, a different form of questioning, one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise, and we will begin with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you in the movies?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Are you in any of the new plays that have either come in already this season or are about to come in within the next few weeks?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
No. No.
Are you more than one?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Are you primarily in the music business?
Yes.
Miss Kilgallen?
Would you be described as a group? Group of 2?
Oh, Saved by the Bell.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Cerf?
Are you a male and a female?
Yes.
Miss Francis?
If this isn't too forward, are you man and wife?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Are you Sonny and Cher?
I wish I were.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Are you Gordon and Sheila?
Gordon and Sheila MacRae.
Did it again, Dorothy. You certainly
Hello,
did.
Jack.
Yeah.
I got you, babe. I got low enough voice to be Sonny and Cher.
That's funny.
I done seen you on the telephone hour tonight, and you was very good. I want to
Thank you, John.
congratulate
How nice to see you.
Right. As far as Sheila goes, I saw in the paper that you were in Washington on Thursday, and you were at the White House on Thursday evening for the congressional party before the president went to the hospital.
It was so exciting. Believe it, me singing for the president. I can't believe it myself, really.
Didn't you ride in the car with him, Sheila?
Yes, I certainly did, with he and Mrs. Johnson.
I know, I don't want to intrude, but he was in pretty good spirits.
Oh, he looked marvelous, healthy and tan. He's a very, very energetic man, my word.
I must say, he's remarkably buoyant, considering that the next morning he was going into the hospital.
Oh, he was going in about 20 minutes, he told me. Yes.
And how much longer did it take before he got there? I think they were expecting him about 9. He got there at 11 or something.
Yes, well, we waited for about 3 hours for him. Yes.
And you had a big congressional thing at the White House?
It was marvelous.
Yeah.
Really great. Very exciting.
It's a big thrill, isn't it?
Oh, it's thrilling to me.
Weren't you supposed to be at an opening night tonight?
Oh, yes.
Drat the Cat, is that the show?
Drat the Cat.
He was
It's
there.
great. It's
How
kind
was
of
it?
like Sunshine and Roses. And the thing that I just flipped over, Bennett, was that in the show was a marvelous man. He's so subtle in his comedy, and he belongs to a very talented lady that I do in the nightclub act. His name is Elliot Gould, and if I were Barbara Streisand, I would say he's a gas. He's marvelous. Really marvelous. He's very boss, really.
It's going to be a hit.
I hope it'll be a hit for Norman Rosemont. And the young lady in it is beautiful. She's like a singing Natalie Wood. Just a beautiful creature.
I worked
Leslie
with
Ann
her.
Warren.
I worked with her. She's wonderful.
She's beautiful. I hope it'll
What's
be a
her
hit.
name if she's so
And then you
great?
came up...
Leslie Ann Warren.
Leslie Ann Warren.
You came up here to go to the opening tonight, to Drat the Cat.
You Drat the Cat, yeah.
But I'm a USO board member. You're going to play some golf for us on Tuesday.
Well, I'm going
aren't
to
you?
try Bennett on Tuesday.
Bennett, I beg your pardon?
I mean,
Oh, no, all right.
That's all. I quit.
excuse me, John. I was thinking of Ginny, really, and the baby. We're going to do a golf exhibition match, such as it may be, with Chichi Rodriguez and Peter Lynn Hayes and myself and Sammy Davis out at Huntington for the benefit of the USO for the Vietnam Forces in Long Island.
Yeah. I knew that you were coming up to play. And
Haven't played for 2 months, so I don't know how it's going to be.
Thank you. This man not only has a remarkable voice and is a remarkable entertainer, he's a darn good athlete on top of it. I don't want to be caught on the first tee with you anytime.
Oh, thank you.
And good to see you both.
Good
See you
to see
in
you,
Brother
John.
Shore sometime. Well, considering all the stumbling blocks we put in front of you, I've got to admit you've done very well tonight, panel. I give you my congratulations, and we'll all be back after this. Now until next week, may I say, Mr. Jones, again, it's very nice to have you with us.
Thank you, John.
And
Enjoyed it.
hope you'll be back again soon, and good night, Miss Arlene Francis.
Good night, John, and good night, Jack. Have a good week at the Persian Room.
Thank you so much.
Bennett.
Thanks for asking me, and thank you, Dorothy. Good night.
Thank you. I echo Arlene's sentiments. Good night, Bennett. Welcome back again.
Thank you. Gee, it's nice to be back. It's great to even see you again, John. Good night.
You'd think he'd give me a week, wouldn't you, just to get used to his being back? As a matter of fact, we both have to just accept facts. He's back now, and I consider it my duty as a citizen in this great free country of ours to warn the citizens of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, that he'll be there tomorrow night. Get all the young in early, lock the doors, and pull down the shades, because that's the best service you could possibly do him as Bennett heads into O'Hara country. And from all of us, thanks for being with us on What's My Line?